It's getting warmer under these lights, I tell you what.
It's 5500 Kelvin.
Is this gonna give me a tan too? Hey all you Firebase developers! Welcome to another episode of Ask Firebase, the show where we answer your burning Firebase questions. And today I am joined by Mayank Jain and talk about what it is that you do for Firebase.
Sure, I'm the product manager for Firebase Remote Config. And my mission is to make Firebase Remote Config an awesome platform for developers, all the app developers.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. I really enjoy having product managers on because you have a really unique view of the whole thing, right? You've got the engineering side, you can see what the developers are doing. So it's really great to have you here to answer some questions.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Our first question is, how can I change a string using remote config?
All right, so I think before I answer that question, let me give you a brief context about what remote config is. It's a system with which you can change your app at runtime without having to send out a new build for it. For example, consider this solution. You are an e-commerce app and you want to change the button of your checkout screen, the color of the button from red to green, for example, maybe. Now, either you can wait for 2 months for your dev team to send out a build, a new app, or even then the users, everybody might not upgrade. So what you instead do, you integrate remote config, you come to remote config console, and you have a variable set up there which says color of the button, and just change it from red to green, and you publish, and the change goes live. So that's the benefit of using remote config. Now that said, the question here is about how do you change strings? So remote config supports many data types. You could put in a string, you could put in a number, you could put in even JSON values in strings. So you could, for example, define a zombie and say zombie has power, zombie can jump, and what exactly is the life for a zombie. So all of those information data types could go into remote config.
Well, that's a really interesting use case then, right? So if you could really test out the difficulty of a game level using something like that. Another thing I like about remote config is the ability to have different groups with different values so that you can compare as the developer and see what's working best for your users.
That's a great point. In fact, we have something called as conditions in remote config. So you could say that, we want to target people in US versus people in India separately with different values without having to send out any new changes code base in your app builds. So that's incredibly easy for remote config to do.
Great. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Let's look at what we have next. Oh, yeah. I like this because I didn't know. So we're going to find out together. Our next question comes from Stack Overflow. And this user wants to know, when I update my app version, will the Firebase Remote Config cache reset and fetch new values, or will it use the existing cache until the cache expires on the set time?
Well, this is a great question from that perspective, and this cache will not expire. The answer to this question is the cache will not expire when an app update happens.
That's really great because then your users aren't having some sort of unexpected experience.
Absolutely, I agree. Imagine you have a cache where the button should look green. The user is expecting the button to look green, and the moment they update the app, boom, now the button is red. And you don't want that janky experience in front of the user.
Exactly. Which brings up something else that I've noticed when I come across some questions on remote config as well, is to keep in mind that it is for changes. You don't want to be constantly changing the experience on your user, which is why this cache is so great. So certainly for testing purposes, you can reset how frequently that refreshes, but
in fact, to add to your point, we have a mode called developer mode, which is specifically for dev testing. So if you enable that mode on, there's no cache created on the device. But that is not for production. So if you push out your app with developer mode on, you will start seeing errors, which you obviously don't want. So it's only for dev testing purpose.
Yeah. I would say that if you have something that's changing very frequently, that's a good use case for Cloud Firestore or the real-time database.
Absolutely. In fact, we actively ask customers to give our real-time database a try or Firestore a try if the use case is so real-time that remote config cannot support it.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. Now, is there a way that our viewers can reach out if they have some questions about remote config?
Sure. You can reach out directly to me on my email, makuchaku@google.com.
Wow. To everyone who submitted questions so far, thank you so much. Be sure to keep sending your questions our way with the hashtag AskFirebase. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on a future episode.
What am I supposed to?
Well, talk about your. We want to know about your music video.